What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining us and welcome to another Ford episode. In this episode we are going to get into the meat and the potatoes of this build. What really is going to make this car a track car. I'm here at Swartkops. The guys are cycling in the evening. We've got one problem though. We don't have any electrical power this evening, unfortunately, so we're going to have to battle in the dark, but let me show you what I got. Welcome to the How to Build Your Own Basic Race Car Build series, where I show you step by step how to build and race your own basic race car. This is based on basic principles that you can apply on most cars, which will give you a cheap but still safe option to go racing. Join me on this crazy adventure. In keeping with the budget theme of this build, I am going to take you through pretty much what we're going to use, and remember that this is the very minimum you need for to be able to do a race safely. So let's go through it. I'll show you what I got. So this is what we have and what we are going to use. Just keep in mind this is a super budget build, and I know I'm going to get a lot of comments about I have to use coilovers and all sorts of other things. The theme of this is what is the minimum requirement to actually go racing but still keep it safe. First things first, brake pads. I've gone for EBC yellow stuff. This is premium street performance and race brake pad. Now I've used this stuff before. They're pretty good. You tend to get decent life out of them. This car is not super heavy, so we should be alright with these. This is absolutely number one on your list of things to do when you're upgrading to a track car or a race car. You need good brake pads. You need good brake fluid. Now the brake fluid is important because your brakes get super hot during a race. Stock brake fluid can even boil. When it boils, it causes brake fades. You get to a corner, you run out of brakes. It is no good. So you need very good brake fluid with a high boiling point, 500-600 degrees, and that really helps you and helps with consistent braking. So together with the pads, you want really good brake fluid. Now I've worked with ATE before, especially with the Polos. ATE supply a very good disc, and that's what I've gone for here. So this is a stock ATE brake disc. The reason being, a lot of the guys in the racing community actually use stock brake discs. So we're going to give it a go, but make sure you do have a good brand new straight brake disc. There will be a bed-in procedure which we'll apply. I'll show you that later, but go for a very high quality brake disc. ATE or ATE, however you want to pronounce it, very good brand. Brembo, Ferodo, etc. would be just as good, as long as it's a very high quality unit. Now the last but not least for today's list, springs. People are going to say, why didn't I go coilovers? I'll discuss that a bit later in the episode, but what I've done is I've gone for a lowering spring. This is an H&R spring, also a very high quality spring. Not perfect for a race car, but it will still lower the center of gravity, lower the car, and give you a decent amount of grip. Not super high grip, but it is a way to go forward without spending a whole lot of money on coilovers. If you want to see some more of this kind of content, please consider subscribing. Just click on the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you're good to go. The damper that's in the car, the shock absorber, whatever you want to call it, we're going to run the stock dampers. They are still okay, they're not worn out. So we're not going to run a sport damper at this stage. Again, we're trying to keep the budget theme of this build. So we're going to run the stock dampers as phase one. When we go to phase two of this build, we'll do some extra funny stuff with some fancy stuff, but for the most part what we're going to do is lowering springs and the stock dampers. It is going to be a limitation on the car. but you will see it'll be alright to be able to do the race. So the thing that I'm not doing now are the brake lines. Now the brake lines are a must, but I'm going to show you the process of the brake lines in a separate episode. I'm going to cover all of that in one episode because that is a separate process. If you're in, let's say, countries where you don't have an availability of parts like we are, let's say off-the-shelf items, where you'd have to order it in and exchange rates are high, etc., you then make your own brake lines or have brake lines made. So I'm going to show you that process, exactly how to do it, and like I say, in a separate episode. But for this episode, we're going to get this stuff in the car. Let's go. Alright, so we have no power, so we're going to do what we can to get by. So first things first, I need to tie up this brake caliper. I'm going to tackle the toughest job first, and that is the springs. We need to get the strut out. So it looks like I need to take off the bottom bolt. I'm going to try and get the strut out without taking the knuckle out. Then I don't have to take the control arm off and the side shaft out. So there is this bottom ball joint. We'll take that bolt off, and this bolt at the back here, back of the upright knuckle thing, and those 3 bolts holding the top of the strut on. So I lubed up all the bolts, bottom ball joint, upright bolt, and anti-roll bar bolt. So I'll loosen the bottom one first. Can anti-roll bar off. Okay, we're going to try with brute force first. Sure. There we go. Okay, I was able to get it out enough, so we didn't have to loosen the side shaft and that. Now we take it off at the top. There we go. There's the damper, tiny little thing. Alright, so I've clamped this thing in the jaws of life. Oil everywhere. I've lubed up the thread, and we're just going to go to town with this puppy. So these are spring clamps. So you guys have seen them. These are really good. They've got a nice hook on the edge and provide quite a nice clamp. Should not come off at all. We need this spring to pop out of the perch here. See, the perch is loose now. The spring is loose. So now the challenge will be to get that loose. Man, this thing is so corroded inside there. Okay, well, I'm going to have to butcher it. Okay, I'm having to go full caveman mode because this thing is tight.
A few moments later.
Alright, so we managed to get the top hat off finally. That means we can take this potential energy bomb, leave it outside. I'm going to take the dust boot off because Racecar. We're going to need the bump stop. This is the original Ford bump stop. So no dust boot because Racecar. Not worried about that. Probably going to change these dampers soon anyway. These will actually must go that way. So like I said, these H&R Springs must go in and locate nicely. Hopefully they are the right thing. There we go. Beautiful, like a glove. Like a glove. So now we will compress these and then get it in. I've got Johannes, my man here, helping me. So there you can see on the left the stock spring, on the right the lowering spring. It's also thicker, higher spring rate, and the car will sit lower. Let's go. So if you are doing this yourself, make sure these hooks are secured in nicely. You see, I can try and secure it on this top ring, but the top ring curls in, so I need to use this second ring, and they must be secured really nicely. Get a good grip around the spring, because you don't want this bad boy coming loose. Now I'm not going to show you how I tighten this. Okay, so the top hat is now on. Now this spring retainer or clamp is sitting right under this section. So I'm going to loosen this one first so I can grab there, then loosen that one. There we go. And there your spring is located nicely on the spring locator at the top. That's all fine. Put it in the car and ready to go. 13 socket. Now we can do the upright, get it all together, and then we'll show you the finished product.
A few moments later.
Alright, so it is in. There you can see the lowering spring is in, the damper's in. Now we're going to jump onto the disc and pads. Let's go. Alright, so we're going to start with the disc. Now the disc does not have a locating locking screw, so we're just going to use one of the wheel nuts. Now we cut the cable tie on the caliper. Let's put these calipers back on. Now they do have new pads in, but these are obviously street pads. We're not going to use street pads. They just don't cut it on the track. Click, click. Shout out to Superior Friction. Link in the description. They supplied me these. They always give me a great discount. Two brand new brake calipers going in. Now this, interestingly enough, this coating helps with the bedding in procedure. Bada bing, bada boom. Now we tighten the bolts on the back. Now these bolts don't get torqued to within an inch of their life. They're sliding bolts, so they just get pulled up to their stopper. There we go. There's your brand new brake assembly. Alright, so first tip for handling on front wheel drive car like this: disconnect the front anti-roll bar. Why do you do that? Well, the anti-roll bar works in like a crisscross way, front to rear and rear to front. So a front anti-roll bar will add grip to the back, and you don't want that in a front wheel drive. So I always start off with it disconnected. On the Clio, it just took it out. And we're going to leave the rear anti-roll bar connected, and we're going to start like that. So I've just taken off the end links and we run it like that. And we have installed the rear spring. The rear spring is super easy. You just loosen the bolt on the damper or the shock. You drop the rear axle, both sides, slide it in, make sure it's on the retainers, which it is, and bob's your auntie. Alright, so that's going to be it for this episode. We got as much done as we can. We got the upright on the left hand side done. The other one I can't get the nut off, so I'm going to take it to a suspension shop, get them to take it off for me. The rear springs are in, the disc is in, so we just need to get that upright sorted out, and then or the strut, sorry, sorted out, and then we can get that one in, and then we'll jump onto the brake lines, and I'll show you guys how to do that. So yeah, that's going to be a wrap for this episode. Unfortunately, we battled with the light today. It was a real constraint. These are the challenges we faced with at times, but we just have to persevere and see what we can do. In the background, I'm going to start planning putting this engine in. I need to do the belts and everything on that engine. There's a couple of small things we're going to do, but that's not the purpose of this. Yeah, next episode we'll do the brake lines, and then from there, I'm not really sure. We kind of just need to button this puppy up and get it done. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, you know what to do, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Ciao. Bye.